Hey everybody. The last couple days in class we've been talking about the rate of change. When we're looking at graphs, the word we use for the rate of change of a graph is called the slope. The slope is the number that tells us how steep a line is. It tells us the steepness and direction of that line. And the greater the absolute value of the slope, the steeper the line is. When we look at example A here, this line, we can calculate a value that tells us how steep this line is and tells us which direction the line is going. That value is called the slope. We find the slope by finding the ratio of the change in the y value, right? That's the vertical change, the change in y, over the change in the x value. Mathematically, we use these symbols. We say delta y over delta x. Since y is the vertical direction, another word we use for the change in the vertical direction is rise, right? The rise is the measure how much a line goes up. Delta x is the change in the horizontal direction. The word we use for that is run. So when I look at a line, like in example A, we can find the slope of that line by finding the rise and the run between any 2 points on that line. So when I see these 2 points that are already marked on example A, I see this point right here and I see this point right here. We just got to find what's the rise, the vertical change between those 2 points, and the run, the horizontal change. So I'm going to start at this point on the left right here. I always like to start on the left, go left to right, just like we read. And if I'm starting at this point, I'm just going to count how many I have to go up to get to that next point. I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went up 5, so that's my rise. And my run is 1, 2, 3. I go to the right 3 spaces. So my slope is 5 over 3. That's the slope of example A. In example B, I do the same thing to calculate the slope. I want to find the rise and the run. So once again, I have 2 points here, and I want to find the rise and the run between them. I'm going to start on the left point again out of these two. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to find my rise. Now, I'm not going to go up here, right, from this point, because I have to go down to get to my second point. So my rise I'm actually going to count by moving down. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But since I went down 6, I'm actually going to have a negative rise. We went down 6 spaces, so my rise is negative 6. And I go to the right 1, 2 spaces. To the right 2. Now, this is a fraction I can actually simplify. 2 goes into negative 6 evenly, so negative 6 divided by 2 gives me negative 3. That is my slope for example B. Now, let's take a look at 2 special cases here. In example C, I have this horizontal line here, and it's passing through these 2 points that are labeled negative 2, 4 and 4, 4. Now, I'm going to do the same thing to find my slope. I want to find the rise over the run between these 2 points. Now, if I'm starting at negative 2, 4, and I'm trying to get to 4, 4, I actually can't go up or down, right? To get to this next point, I'm just going to go straight across. So my rise is actually 0. And my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. 0 over 6. 0 divided by 6 gives us 0. So we have a slope of 0. And this is actually going to be the case for every horizontal line, right? Every horizontal line that we see, it's not going to go up or down. The rise is going to be 0. It's going to be 0 over some other number, which is always going to give us 0. Now with this vertical line here in example D, let's do the same thing. We'll find our rise and we'll find our run. Now the rise between these 2 points is 1, 2, 3, 4. I go up 4 spaces And my run, now, I don't have to go over at all here. I don't have to go to the right. So my run is actually 0. I'm not going over to the right any spaces. So 4 divided by 0. Now, I can't actually do 4 divided by 0. You can never divide by 0. Try to do it in a calculator. You're going to get an error every time. We actually say that this slope is undefined. You cannot find the slope of a vertical line. So we say that that answer is undefined. And that's going to be the case with every vertical line. Because every vertical line is going to have a rise, but it's not going to have a run. The run will always be 0. So whatever number we have that we divide by 0 is going to be undefined. So here's some quick tips that you can use to check your slopes when you're doing your work. Anytime our line is going up from left to right, we know our slope is going to be positive. We usually use m to represent the slope. So here it says m, the slope, is greater than 0. It's positive, right? Because it's rising from left to right. If the slope is negative, like we saw in example B, if m is less than 0, it's going to fall, right? Our line will be going down from left to right. So positive, it's going up. Negative, it's going down. That makes sense. With a horizontal slope, just like we talked about in example C, the slope will always be 0. And when we have a vertical line, the slope will always be undefined, right? The run is 0, and we can't divide by 0, so it will be an undefined slope. So that's all our notes for tonight. Those are all of our examples. You can go ahead and finish up your notes, submit them through Canvas, and I will see you all in class tomorrow. Have a good night.